This is the Building Walls podcast, episode number 64. Merry Christmas. Recorded December 21st, 2021. Rudolph the Rona Reindeer.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
This is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, this is not. Oh, you switched on me. This is my wife. This is my sister. They switched on me.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway.
Mr. President, can I ask you a quick question on Israel before you drive
No,
away?
you
since
can't.
It's so important?
Not unless you get in front of the car as I step on it.
Okay, hang on.
A majority of Americans, and forgive me, I'm just the messenger, no longer consider you to be competent, focused, or effective in the job.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
Let's get it started. Another episode of the Building Walls podcast. Good evening, gentlemen. An attack helicopter.
Good evening. Good to be here. Can't believe it's Christmas week, buddy. Merry Christmas. Right?
Christmas
Merry Christmas
week.
Now, the question I have is are you on the naughty list, my man?
I don't know that I'm on the nice list, so
So default to the naughty list.
yeah, I mean, by default, I'd have to say so. Apparently, as I'm told, whenever I tried to do anything customer service wise,
Yes, that's a good story. We should circle back to that.
Whoa, Saki.
I know. I just gave you the Jen Psaki circle back treatment, but that might be a good section for a segment here when we talk about customer service. And one of our favorite topics is the customer always right? Because I don't think they are. I don't think they are at all.
No, and speaking of customer service, how about the guy on, was it a United flight, I believe, he had a very unique mask on. Let's say that.
Unique.
Very unique mask.
What made it unique?
Maybe the fact that it was women's underwear. Even better, a red thong. And which his red thong wearing as a mask does comply with federal guidelines. It covers the nose and the mouth, and it can be wrapped around the ears. I mean,
that dude went straight Cisco.
But
that thong.
I don't understand why this guy was removed from the plane when
They took him off the plane?
in compliance. They kicked him off the flight.
Why? Maybe he just likes the thong song.
Right. They kicked him off the flight for wearing a CDC compliant mask.
Oh gosh.
The best part about this was some other would-be travelers on the plane stood up and said, why are you booting this guy off the flight? He's not doing anything wrong. He's wearing a mask. I thought the filtration systems on these airplanes were so state of the art, the air filtration, that, I mean, you don't really need a mask, do you?
Dude, it's just insane. It's honestly insane, the stuff that is going on right now. And I actually have a question about that. And so I'm excited that we led with this topic.
Ooh, wow.
Like right out of the gate.
Wow. Merry Christmas.
And I'm excited because we actually have some people, maybe they'll type in, or, when you're listening to the show, maybe you can send us a message if you have the answer to this. And I'm going to kind of piece it together, and I'm going to lay it out there. And I would just like to know what people really think. If we're just kind of being ridiculous or we're not being ridiculous, I don't know. And maybe there's some professionals who are capable of commenting on it. So you ready? Here's my question. Is the masks work? Do they work? Is it even worth it? And why do I have to wear a mask if I'm walking into a building, a dwelling, whether it be a restaurant or a grocery store, or in this case, an airplane? getting on an airplane or even a train, why am I required to wear a mask if at some point while I'm inside that space, I'm going to remove my mask and I'm going to breathe freely out into the air
for an extended period of time.
So I'm not understanding, or I'm having a hard time understanding why I wear a mask in the first place if at some point I'm going to take that mask off.
Yeah, why
does it do something? And because it might be like, well, hey, well, it mitigates a little bit, like it's better than nothing. And I'm like, but it's kind of an all or nothing, right? Because if COVID is so contagious, or whatever I have is so contagious, then why would I ever be allowed to take off my mask, or you be allowed to take off your mask? And I just don't feel like this is making sense. One other thing I just want to say, Chad, is like I go to the grocery store, right? And my local grocery store
That's
here is right. I know I buy stuff, I buy goods to eat, but I get all my groceries and I go right down to the conveyor belt, and I put my stuff on the little conveyor belt. Well, there's a glass partition now across the way, but it doesn't cover the whole thing. I can clearly, I just put my food on this conveyor belt, and then I step over like 3 steps, and then they hand me the food back. And I'm like, what is this glass partition really doing? Like, are people like, I'm going to look right into this partition and sneeze or cough, or like, is Corona gonna, blocked off by this 24 by 36 piece of plexiglass? And I just started thinking of all the places that put up plexiglass because of the Corona. And is this really just scientific theater? Like, what is that really accomplishing?
So they put up plexiglass and you can't hear the person on the other side half the time. So what do you do? Oh,
yeah,
what was
you
that?
Lean over around the glass.
What was
you're
that?
Like, what'd you say? Okay, yeah, good.
And like you said, so you have all these goods that you have. You're walking through the store, coughing, sneezing, breathing
on them,
and then you put them on a belt, and then they touch them.
They take them and move them right through and scan them,
and then touch them back. And here's the thing: there's been so many studies, right, that if the masks work good, why don't they work? Why has there been studies? Why are the states with some of the most heavy lockdowns having some of the worst breakouts in COVID? And we'll get into breakout infections and throughout the show. Breakthrough. I'm sorry.
Right. Breakthrough.
Make sure we get it right. But why do these states that have the most breakouts in virus cases are the ones with the heaviest mandates, wearing masks everywhere, not being able to see your family for Christmas and all stuff like that? It's probably because when you wear a mask and you're sick and you cough. So let's just break it down for a second. When you're sick, you typically, or when you begin to get ill with a virus and you're contagious, you typically don't know yet that you're ill. The reason for that is the symptoms that you feel, coughing, sneezing, headache, stuff like that, is your body fighting off the virus. So if you're coughing into a mask,
I thought you were going to do a commercial there. Coughing, sneezing, headache, fever. Take Tylenol.
When you're doing these things, you're expelling your sickness, right? Just like the mucus or snot in your nose is trapping bacteria and virus. Not all the times, but typically that's your body saying, hey, I'm fighting it off. That's why you get a fever. Your body is fighting it off.
Right.
So when you're doing those things, you're just coughing now that air into your mask, and it's not making you get better. If you're still breathing in that same air, it's making you get worse. Right? And then if we're okay to wear other masks that are just cloth masks that are known, proven to not do anything. What's the difference between a guy wearing women's underwear? Just a cloth mask like anything else. But like you said, what's up with all this stuff? If the masks work good, why don't they work? Why wasn't this 2 weeks to flatten the curve?
And I think my real question is, why, if at some point you take your mask off, or you're allowed to, or that's allowed, then
Mandated.
I mean, like mandated, I got to wear a mask walking into a restaurant. But then as soon as I sit down at this table and I'm, is my, breathing going to go into the general circulation of the air? I mean, like, how is that any different than if I didn't wear a mask in the first place? That's my real question, is what is the delta between wearing a mask from walking in and sitting down somewhere to, not having a mask on?
Right. Or what's the point of wearing your mask on the street corner when no one's around and you're waiting to cross the street? What's the point of that?
I can't. I just can't with people.
I've only had, I forget what it was. I read a story, or I was talking to someone that literally said they wear their mask in their car because what if that air that's coming through the car, they want to be protected from that? What?
So that's my point. Like,
if you want to be protected from that, you have worse things in life you need to worry about.
But if they really believe that, like, okay, so the air circulating through there is going to get you, well, then everyone around you has to have their mask on at all times. And if they don't, if they take a sip of a ginger ale,
right,
then
because you don't know what's in the atmosphere.
You're done, baby. They breathed into the atmosphere. You're done.
Yeah, that's the thing too. When you're on a plane and then they serve you food and beverage, or you bring food on the plane, and then you take off your mask and you're eating food. What's the difference?
Literally, it's insane. I just don't understand it. And I'm open if somebody can tell me, like, oh yeah, it actually does make a difference. Okay, but to me, it kind of seems like an all or nothing. Like, you're either going to wear a mask or you're not wearing a mask. Like, what are we doing here? Like, the fact that you can take your mask off nullifies the entire time that you have not, or that you have been wearing your mask.
And then you have people who have trouble breathing. They can't wear a mask all day. That's not going to do them any good. So then what we turn in, instead of doing a COVID passport you have to carry around, you have to carry around like an asthma one. So you can let everyone know that you have asthma and just share your, like, all your medical history now with the whole world. Where does it end?
Yeah, with everybody in your general public surroundings. Okay, great, perfect.
That's crazy.
Well, if anybody has any answers to that, please contact the show and let us know. And Merry Christmas to you for answering that question. That'll be the greatest gift.
Us at
that'll be the greatest gift that you could give us this year.
Area code 555, phone number 8675309.
Right?
Or
ask for Jenny.
What is the Hall & Oates hotline number?
You probably don't want to put out a phone number that is not already public. Like, you want to be careful with phone numbers on YouTube.
Yeah, this is public. This is a Hall & Oates hotline. You can Google this number. In terms from our Mr. Producer keeping us safe here, we're not going to give out the phone number. Just Google Hall & Oates hotline. It's fantastic. You call it and you can choose which Hall & Oates song you want to listen to on the phone. It's actually called Hall & Oates.
That sounds so dreadful. Why would you want to listen to a song sounding like absolute trash over a phone? Like, unless it's voice over IP, it's going to be compressed.
Come on, man. Hall & Oates.
It might be hard to handle.
I wish I knew the song. I don't. I don't know. Is that an artist or a song? I don't know. I'm ignorant to this.
That's Hall & Oates song.
You're just out of touch.
Yeah, that's probably true. True.
And I definitely can't go for that.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. All right, so I think we're going to talk about a lot of COVID today.
But we could talk about the COVID because it could be a man-eater, right?
Could be. But let's hit on the Metaverse really quick.
Ooh.
Found an article here, courtesy of Louder with Crowder. And this is some next level stuff. This woman is in a game. It's in the article. I forget what it's called. But she filed a lawsuit I believe, against someone in Horizon Worlds. That's what it's called. It's a game, a part of Meta, which is the company that owns Facebook. It's a virtual reality world. And she filed a lawsuit against the guy. A woman filed a lawsuit against a man in the game for actions he took in the game. Do you know what he did to her in the game, Chris?
We're not talking about practice, are we?
No, this is the real deal. He virtually groped her.
How do you do that?
And it was in virtual reality. So she's going to file a lawsuit. She was sexually assaulted. Yeah, but she's sexually assaulted in this game.
I mean, I just don't understand.
Are your feelings hurt?
Well, I think this is one of the classic examples of where we're now like altering definitions of things.
You're right. You couldn't shut off your computer?
Yeah, you just sat there and took it.
And to this woman, I am so sorry if you're so offended. Never, ever, ever, for the love of God, play VR chat. Because if you're offended by that in just the metaverse, God knows what else you'll run into playing VR chat, which is exponentially worse, arguably.
It definitely isn't cool to sexually assault women.
No, of course not. No.
But
no.
Holy
smokes. There
smokes.
has to be an assault. Like, what are we defining assault as?
Right, to your physical body.
Your avatar
sexually assaulted my mind.
I identify as someone who's been assaulted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Can we pay more taxes for that to be tied up in the legal system? That'd be great. Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Right. Think about your hard-earned money that you work for on a day-to-day basis. There's your public defender or your public prosecutor.
I'm just going to go ahead and say thank you to Elon Musk for being the one citizen that paid the most money in taxes of all time. And congratulations, buddy. Elon, thanks for paying for that crap.
But dude, could you imagine you're in this game? So part of the other thing is that people in the game in this plaza were cheering it on. And like she was really offended. Her feelings were really hurt.
Is she like Jodie Foster, the accused? Like, what's going on here?
Is this where the phrase "mind fucked" came from?
Whoa!
Just I know we're not supposed to swear on this. Yeah, we only get one. But I'm just saying.
And you took it. You took it before I even did Chris's Corner. Like, this is not real. You took it before I got Chris's Corner.
Like, what the heck is up with these people here?
Oh, man, I don't know. But I agree with you.
I mean, what would you do in this case? Chris, you're in the game. You decide you want to be female. And all of a sudden, you're getting groped. You're getting sexually harassed. And you can't stop it. You're inside the game here. What are you going to do?
Was he doing like the squat thing? Like, like, was that what was
teabagging? Was he teabagging her in the game?
Yeah. Because I
that's
like
offensive. Yeah.
I've gotten teabagged by an 8-year-old. So it's like...
here's the thing. Okay, so I want to point this out. If we're talking about sexual assault, like people getting upset about that, do you know how long 12-year-old boys have been having virtual sex in World of Warcraft? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
I actually want to learn more about that. Attack Helicopter, could you elaborate for our audience a little bit more about a topic that I'm not familiar with? How does that even happen? Like,
it's role play.
Is it like / bang her? I don't get it. Like,
no, I mean it's just role play, and you do it over text chat, and you make your characters act out somewhat as you could sexual acts, and it's apparently a thing it's a thing you can do. I've never done it personally, but yes, people do it. It's a thing.
All right, baby. Meet me at the inn of the Last Dragon. And I will show you my worm.
God, this is getting so derailed.
So,
you're the one that brought up.
Here's what's crazy, right? Here's what's crazy is people make the argument of rape, right, to where it's all the men's fault. They take the action. They shouldn't be doing it. A woman can't stop a man, this, that, and the other. But in this case, you literally have full control to take yourself out of the game you're playing.
Yeah.
But she just wanted to, whatever you just said. Do you want to see? She probably wanted to see Chris's worm. I don't know.
Maybe she took her armor off. I don't know. What is she doing?
Yeah.
Was she dressed? Did she have a dirty skin on? Like, what's going on here?
Hopefully she didn't pay money for it to upgrade the skin.
Dude, seriously. What if she paid crypto? Or Roblox?
Or use an NFT.
Yeah.
However that works. I don't know. I'm just making up stuff now, I think.
We definitely need to keep an eye on that and see what happens there, because I'm willing to bet that gets tossed out before it even gets going.
I hope so. So before we get into the rant, there's one other thing I just caught my eye here. I want to talk about because I heard this the other day. Did you see that ESPN just came out with a film about Bubba Wallace and the noose?
No, jeez.
Did you see that?
No.
So I don't know if it aired yet or it's going to air. I heard a snippet of it on some conservative talk radio, and I assume you know the story.
Yeah, I'm familiar, that he claimed that he was, racially profiled and that there was a noose that was put in his, garage area, symbolizing, intimidation and white supremacy.
Right. So the garage door was up in his garage area, and like standard automotive places or garages like this, there's a rope tied to the garage door so that you can pull it down.
So
and at the end of it,
manual have control.
Right. And at the end of it, there's a loop because it's a lot easier to hold on to a rope when you have a little more leverage. It's wrapped around your hand versus pulling it like this. So that's like this is not the first time he's seen this in a garage. It can't be. 100% cannot be. And then ESPN is now making a film about it, or has made a film talking about this event. So not only has it come out to be a lie, a year or so later, they're now perpetuating the lie.
Yeah. How
is this okay?
But I mean, are they talking about the fact that it was debunked?
No, they're talking about the fact that people are racist.
That's not right.
And they even have the clip of him saying, "Oh my gosh, I could not believe it. I looked over and there was a noose in the garage." Yeah, there's one in just about every garage. But if we know this is wrong, why does a company like ESPN, they're now pushing this forward after it's been known that it's a lie?
Who's owned by ABC, who is owned by Disney.
Like this stuff needs to be talked about. There needs to be a stand with stuff like this, because you want to talk about not perpetuating racism. You can't do stuff like this then. This is not helping racism. Well, it is helping racism.
Are they going to have a segment about Juicy Smollett?
Juicy Smollett.
How'd that turn out?
Juicy.
Or maybe at the end of it, they'll just yell, "Let's go, Brandon," and call it a day.
There was, speaking of the NASCAR stuff, I guess that guy, Brandon, whatever his name is, came out and was like, you know what? It should be "Let's go, America." Okay, bud.
Well, maybe if you're China, because you would say, "Go F yourself, America. Pay your bills that we've collected all the debt from you."
Right. Maybe if the announcer said they were chanting "Let's go, America" instead of "Let's go, Brandon."
Did you see Nancy Pelosi totally got trolled? She's having a She's having a press conference outside. She's trying to introduce somebody, and somebody driving by in the background yells, "Let's go, Brandon!" Like super loud, and she's just like, oh. So great.
The same Nancy Pelosi that went into a hair salon to get her haircut when no one else in California was supposed to, but
she took her mask off.
Yeah, old news.
No one cared who I was.
It's fake news, Chad. It's fake news. It's not. It didn't actually happen. It's fake.
Fake news.
Everybody back there knows it. It's all fake. All of you.
It's just a ploy by conservative media to slander her. That's all it is.
Right. Even though these things come out to be actual news, you're right. It's a ploy by conservative media. Just like the whole Juicy Smollett and Bubba Wallace news. It's all ploy
and the
by
Russia
conservative
hoax.
Media.
It's Russia.
Good old shifty shift. Dude, that guy doesn't stop. That guy doesn't stop perpetuating lies.
Dude, I don't think he knows what the truth is.
All right, so I have a question for you. As we're getting into this, what do you think is what happens in different districts or whatever, where a guy like Shifty Shift continues to get elected? Why do you think that occurs?
I don't know. I just want to go there and kind of ask and do some polling and be like, are you people all really this? No, I'm not going to get written up today. I'm not getting written up.
I'm proud of you for that one.
That one was for Attack Helicopter right there. Are you guys really that serious about this candidate? That's what I was going to say. For real. That's what I was going to say. Come on, Attack Helicopter. That was funny.
Oh, it was. It was. Don't get me wrong. It was funny. It was funny.
I don't know, Chad, though, but seriously, you go to these districts and you're like, how did AOC win another election? How did Talib in Dearborn win another? Really? Are these people they lost their minds? That's who you want representing you? Okay.
Right. These it's like, is it, I think it all just comes down to a lack of education, because then when the election time rolls around, these people, they continue to talk about the empty promises, and they don't talk about anything that they've done, because they haven't done anything good.
I mean, in 2022, the empty promises that's all Democrats. I mean, from student loan debt being canceled, not going to happen. Build back better? Nope, not today, son. Close the wall? Nope, that's not happening.
Manchin said, not today.
Not today. Yeah, dude, how about that? Our boy Joe Manchin coming in the clutch and just standing tall. And if you needed an example of what really goes on, and look at how much he is being harassed and strong-armed and bullied and verbally assaulted, it's insane. As if now he's going to be like, oh, you know what? Thank you for that. I guess I will vote for this. He's not the best thing when he came out and said, I'm not going to vote for it. The best thing that the Democrats could have done is said, hey, Joe, you got some pretty strong ideas about this. Where do we need to be in order to get you on board with this?
That would be real leadership, which is something they lack.
Wow. Right. Leadership. You mean not the leadership kind that's sends a message from the White House and says, if you're unvaxxed, you're probably going to die Christmas.
Dude, a winter of death.
A winter of death coming your way.
This is funny.
A winter of death message brought to you by the White House.
You know what's crazy is there's so much of this stuff we've talked about now that we didn't include in the show. We didn't plan on including in it. But this stuff is so important because there's zero leadership in the Democratic Party. I mean, there's zero leadership in the government, really. And Chris, you were spot on with what you said. Think about the next time the presidential election comes around or the midterms, and you're going to vote for people who are in a party who harass one of their own just because he's given some pushback and he doesn't like everything in a bill that you're trying to push forward without bipartisanship.
Yeah. Did you see what they're saying to him, though? Because do you remember we talked about this in a previous episode where we kind of posed the idea that why are we voting for one all-inclusive bill instead of just line items?
Yeah.
But they're literally like, oh, he's going to have to answer to his constituents on why they have to pay $1,000 for their insulin and not $35. Huh, Joe? Do you think that's okay for people to continue to do that? And the answer is, of course not. Why don't we vote on that right now? Make that one bill, one line, right now. Go do it, Congress. Go put it down and have everybody vote for it one time.
Why don't they have to answer to the American people for why the debt ceiling continues to rise to in 20, 30 years where no one will let the U.S. borrow any more money while their kids and grandkids are absolutely screwed.
Yeah,
and inflation goes through the roof and taxes go through the roof because they have to lower the debt.
Totally agree.
I actually spent a ton of time last week. I didn't include this in any of the notes, but reading about what happens when the U.S. debt ceiling gets too high. And literally what it is people stop lending money to you. So you can't raise debt anymore. So now you need to earn more money. And all the government does is earn money from
taxation.
So they either inflate the price of goods superficially to create more taxes, which is what they're doing now, which is why they want a higher minimum wage. You can say a higher minimum wage and the cost of goods goes up. So what? People are getting paid.
But you can't do it domestically. You can't do it domestically. You have to do it on exports.
Because what's crazy about that stuff is when you do that, when the cost of everything goes up, taxes are percentage based. That means the government brings in more revenue. They're not doing it to help you. They're doing it to help themselves because they can't give themselves a pay raise unless they bring in more money. Like this is such simple economic principles that no one cares to talk about. And they continue to do it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to just segue right here. I'd like to, it's Christmas season, and this episode is being sponsored by American Express. Don't leave home without it. Okay. It's Christmas
I was like,
time.
Where are you going with this?
It's Christmas time. Go ahead. Shop small. Shop America. Shop small. Use that American Express.
That's right.
Just go ahead, rack that all the way up. That'll be great. And then I want you to call American Express and be like, you know what? Hey, can I get that credit limit increased? Sir, have you had a change in your income? Well, no, but I am American. And I did use my American Express to stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. So I would like my credit limit increased, please. Okay, well, are you going to be coming into any more money? How are you going to repay your balance and get your balance down? Well, I'm not. I'm going to have you increase the credit so that I can use more money. Is American Express going to do that? I don't know. Maybe.
Absolutely.
Let's find out.
Maybe.
Let's find out. Visa. It's everywhere you want to be.
Everywhere.
Discover new debt ceilings. Oh, dude, you know what I'm feeling right now? I'm feeling queued up to just have you do the rant.
Oh, man.
Let's go. This is my favorite part of the whole show. So
I got to intro it with some Eclectic Dove.
Another sponsor.
Eclectic Dove. Look at this beautiful artwork here by Kristen Gerard. You can find her on Instagram at Kristen Carroll, I guess. I'm just reading what's on the bottle here. I don't know who these people are whatsoever. Have zero affiliation to them. It's called Eclectic Dove, though. It's by Branch Blade Brewing. I have no idea where that's located at. Probably somewhere around Connecticut. So this is a sour ale with, listen to this, blackberry, banana, and peanut butter.
That sounds disgusting.
It sounds disgusting. It's a little nutty, but it's pretty good. It tastes like a peanut butter and jelly.
I bet you like the nuts, don't you, pal?
Love the nuts. Pretty good.
It's a little,
if you ever see this, you like
Chad.
peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. What's that?
I said it's a little gay there, Chad. A little gay.
That's highly offensive, man.
We're gonna have to write you up for that.
Damn it! Twice in one day.
Can we edit that out of the show, please?
After the show's over, we're gonna have to have a word.
Oh no.
And if you could go ahead and fill out the TPS request, that would be great. Okay.
Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah, a little South Park, right?
All right. So,
hey, give me the rant.
Here's what I want to talk about on the weekly rant here. Can we just normalize COVID? How many boosters do you need before you continue to get COVID and you continue to get sick? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Do you need to have like all these receipts stashed in your wallet so you can let them know you've had the 756 booster shot? It's just, the more stuff that comes out about this, the more the experts continue to say this is just going to be an annual thing, like the seasonal flu. So can we just normalize COVID and not act like it's the bubonic plague, right? Since how fentanyl has killed more people in the past year from people's aged 18 to 45 than COVID has? Is that maybe because more people are out of work, out of money, staying at home, so they go to other bad behaviors? But can we just normalize something that just about everyone's had? Because if the whole point of a vaccine is so that you don't get sick, yet you take this vaccine, you can still spread the virus, you can still get sick from the virus, you can still die from the virus. Can we just normalize it? If you get a flu shot, guess what? You can still get the flu. So, what's the difference? This thing is not killing people like they want you to believe it is. I know someone who I deal with on a daily basis who's got both the vaccine shots and was laid up for 2 weeks with COVID. So, the other reason why we need to normalize this, because what's the point of being afraid of a virus or a disease that there's plenty of medications and treatments for? You can go and get monoclonal antibodies. You can do all sorts of other things. And that's the other reason why people aren't dying for this or from this. There's not talks of hospitals being overran, yet the case rate for COVID is the highest that it's ever been. Hey, Uncle Joe, I thought you were going to get this thing under control. Why has there been more cases of COVID? More people, there's been over 3 times more people have died since Biden's been in office than when Trump was in office. Yet when Trump left office, they had a plan for it. They already had vaccine rollout going on. Everything was set in place. All you had to do was follow the plan. But no, they wanted to come in and say, forget Trump. We don't like anything he did, whether it was good or not. And now you've actually caused more harm and destruction from this by the same numbers you used while Trump was in office than what you said you were gonna do. So can we just normalize this? It's a disease and a virus just like anything else. It's not going away. And then they talk about Omicron. They say Omicron is as mild as getting the common cold. Maybe your cough lasts a little longer, but early studies have shown that. So why is Fauci coming out, lying Fauci, saying that you shouldn't visit your family on Christmas and you should get the 100th booster shot because Omicron? But it's not doing anything. And again, if there's treatments for it, you know what's crazy? The guy that I know. So if you're in Florida and you get COVID, you can go to the ER room after testing positive for it, knowing that you have it, say, hey, I want the monoclonal antibodies treatment. Boom, you get it. People who have gotten that treatment, ivermectin, there's been quite a few celebrities who have come out and said, I've gotten the treatment, and people that I know personally that have said, hey, within an hour, I felt 100 times better than I did before. Like this stuff, boom, hit me, done. Because it's always better to treat something the earlier you get to it than to let it linger around more. So in the state of Connecticut, though, in other states, that's not true. The guy I know went to his doctor or called him to schedule an appointment to get a treatment done, and they said, only one hospital in the area does it. And because of that, you have to schedule an appointment. Well, when's the earliest that I can do it? Oh, it's a week out. So the other thing that really gets me about this stuff is if it is a week out and if this is so deadly of a virus, why are you pushing it a week out? Is it really that deadly of a virus? There's things that you just have to pass through a brain cell, if you have any. And think about, does this really matter? Or you could be like the Louisiana Department of Health, who is paying people and kids $100 to bring their 5 to 11-year-olds to get vaccinated and see Santa. Why do you have to pay someone to get a shot if it's so deadly while Pfizer's recording record profits? Because it's a free shot, right? So how does Pfizer record record profits if it's a free shot? And why do you have to pay kids to get it? Why are they incentivizing kids to get a virus when the death rate for kids is so low that there's been like a handful of cases. There's been a very small amount compared to the overall cases of things like this that have happened. And then to take this, there's just so much around this that I found. There's so much around this. There's a website, Mediaite, came out, and this is according to Twitter's Twitter's new user agreement or whatever it's called. They're now penalizing, or no, their terms of service. They're now penalizing people who aren't, or who claim that vaccinated people can spread COVID. Their Twitter is penalizing users who claim vaccinated people can spread COVID. They can spread COVID. Why is that being penalized? They can spread COVID. There's been 0 studies that say they don't spread COVID ever since the first shot came. And Joe Biden said, you can't get sick from COVID. You can't spread COVID. They're like, nope, that's a lie. So why is it just now? This article was written December 14th, a week ago. Why is it just now? Twitter's putting this into effect. Their terms of service says you can't claim that vaccinated people can spread COVID, but they can. That is insane. And there's always this huge media uproar about people with COVID. Like Skip Bayless was talking about Kyrie Irving, who can't play, according to the NBA, at least in the state of New York, because he's not vaccinated. He chooses not to be. He's probably immunized, like Aaron Rodgers' toe. But Skip Bayless is saying that Kyrie Irving is an enormous threat to his team because he's unvaccinated. An enormous threat. Skip Bayless, who gives a shit about what you have to say? You're on a show where all you do is yell back and forth with somebody else, and half of what you say is absolute nonsense. So who cares about what you have to say about something you have 0 education on, and that there's 0 studies to back up anything that you've said? Shut your mouth, just like everyone else. You are not going to die from COVID. If you do, it's because you have underlying conditions. It's because you're not fit to be alive from COVID, I guess. Whatever. I think you get the point where I'm getting at. So can we just stop it? Can we just normalize COVID? Can we just, if this is the thing, and we already know it's not going to kill people at the rate that they say it is, it's not a pandemic. Nothing for the numbers says it's a pandemic by any stretch of what a pandemic actually is. So at what point do we normalize COVID if we already know it's just like the common cold, or it's a seasonal annual thing? At what point? 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? Or are you just going to continue to let the government tell you what to do? That's it, man.
Okay. Man, that's a hell of a rant.
Dude, I had so much stuff. I was getting fired up about this.
I'm not going to interrupt. Sometimes you just got to let the boy finish. Let him go. Got a little Mississippi bloodhound in him, If he lays into you, it's best to just let him finish. Dude, yeah. I got nothing for that. You said everything that was so well
crazy
articulated.
Oh, you're so sweet.
And it's definitely it's such a dumb state of affairs that we're in. It's insane. But what are you gonna do, man? That's why we rant about it. Hopefully Skip Bayless listens.
What are you gonna do?
Hopefully Skip Bayless listens to it and just chimes in on you. Like, who the hell's Chad Whalls? Yeah, well, it's called building walls, brother.
I hope Skip Bayless does chime in. I can't stand that guy.
That's a little harsh.
I can't stand that guy. He's ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay,
that's just an entertainer.
That's a good question.
He's just like a showman, an entertainer.
A couple of weeks ago, we ranked our top 3, fast food places. Who's your top 2 most annoying personalities?
I thought you were gonna say like your top 2 people you just want to punch in the face.
That we could go with that too. If you saw them and you could just one shot Oh,
One shot. Everyone knows the rules.
everybody knows the rules. Who's that for you?
That's a tough question. If
You got Skip Bayless for sure.
yeah, I'll throw
Right.
Skip in there. I'm sure there's people I'd want to punch punch in the face more than him. But for time's sake here, all genders aside, probably AOC.
Oh wow.
Hopefully, I can just punch the stupid out of her.
Well, maybe you could because it's not a man belting a woman. Maybe you could just have somebody by proxy, like trial by combat, and you name your
proxy.
Person who's gonna come in. I'll take Ronda Rousey. All right, you're up. go give her a bitch slap. Ah!
That's great. What's your two? Lay it on me. I feel like you were thinking about this.
Yeah, I think my top one is probably Don Lemon or Lemon or whatever he is. You
Don
can't church it
Lemon.
up. Dude, that dude. You hear him talk. And you're like, are you trying to set back the African American people by another 50 years? What are you doing? You're just an idiot of epic proportions. And just conniving. The guy's he twists things around. You're like, you couldn't go straight and narrow if you tried. You don't even know what that means.
It's crazy that they don't care about anything but ratings, and their ratings suck.
They're in the toilet. We have higher ratings than the Don Lemon show.
Don Lemon. So
yeah,
lay it on me. Who's number two?
So he's a strong number one. He's far and away number one. Probably number two would be Alec Baldwin.
Oh, geez, yeah.
I wouldn't mind just wailing off and being like, dude, why don't you pick on someone your own size?
The gun fired itself, dude.
Yeah. But he's gotten in physical altercations and things like that, before, and just I would love, being a bigger dude, hey, why don't you pick on someone your own size? Go ahead. I'll even give him a free shot on me. Go ahead. Take your best.
That's great.
But then it would be like, you're gonna feel that.
Freaking Alec Baldwin. That would be a good one. Now, was Alec the Baldwin the one who was in Glenn Ross?
Yep.
He did a pretty good job there, but it's just that one scene.
It's literally, that whole movie sucks except for that scene.
It was. There was a 20-minute section of it. You're like, oh, that's a pretty good movie. This movie sucks.
Yeah, and then it's over, and you're like, all right, put that coffee down. Oh, that's pretty good. All right, you're a good actor. All right. I'm not saying that Alec Baldwin's not a good actor.
Right.
I'm just saying that, he's somebody I would probably throat punch.
Somebody I'd probably throat punch. All right. So
now we're going to talk about wholesome stuff.
It's all you. You found this one. Tell us about the wholesome story here.
I just love looking at our show sheet. We just get done talking about who we would like to punch in the face for being idiots. And then let's go ahead and transition.
Next segment is brought to you by Spider-Man.
The wholesome story brought to you by Spider-Man No Way Home. Or is that the new one out?
I think you're right.
No Way Home.
No Way Home.
I haven't seen it yet. I've heard very good things about it.
Yeah.
So this wholesome story was pretty good. I caught this and I was like, oh, see, there you go. Somebody using their celebrity for some positive. And I don't know if you recall this, but there was a story a little while ago where, a little girl was being attacked. A 4-year-old girl was being attacked by a dog, and her older brother, who is older by 2 years, 6-year-old, jumps in and saves his daughter, but he takes 90 stitches to the face because the dog essentially mauled him. But his sister was relatively unharmed because he stepped in.
That's a good brother.
He made it happen. And when he was asked, why would you do that? He said, well, if somebody had to die, I would rather it be me than her. And you're crazy. Dude, you're 6. What an amazing, just so good to know that there's still that rooted inside humanity to actually a male protect a female.
Childlike faith, right?
It's not a thing, whatever. So it turns out, well, this little boy's, big into superheroes, and there were a lot of celebrities chiming in, singing his praises and things like that. But it turns out he really likes, superheroes, and his favorite was Spider-Man. And Tom Holland, who plays Spider-Man for Marvel, caught wind of that and followed through on a promise to get in touch with him and help him come down and bring his whole family onto the set so that they can get a behind the scenes look and everything. And just first class move, all the way around. And I just wish there was more of that, and there are people who do the Make-A-Wish things, and celebrities do often give back and do good things at charity. And it's good to see that. But, in this case, man, what a great story for Tom Holland, and kudos to him for following through.
I think this is a great play on something we talked about a few weeks ago with the altruism, right? Does altruism actually ever exist? And of course, he was doing it for his sister. But when you take the statement that he made that if someone was going to die, I'd rather it be me than my sister, it's almost like that's got to be as close as you get to an altruistic behavior as there is, because this 6-year-old kid doesn't really understand any of that.
Right. He just saw a dog that was coming after his sister who he loved, and his natural instinct was to step in.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It is awesome.
I love it.
That's a good wholesome story.
That is a good one. That was a good find. Really good find. And we're giving props to CNN over here. So, we don't discriminate. I was kind of hard to believe that it was actually a true story. I saw it on CNN.
That wasn't on the Don Lemon show, that's for sure.
So let's get back into we had a few things
Circling
here.
back on the Rona.
Yeah,
let's
circling
go
back. Let's just finish up a little bit of this Rona stuff here as we get into some other. So I mentioned this a little bit in the rant, but this is something I saw that good old fentanyl deaths beat
Here with
COVID.
more on the threat is former DEA.
It is a threat.
Wow.
And I want to hear more about
former
it.
DEA. Queuing up the video. Was that something that you wanted to play there, or did you just click on the link?
I literally just opened the link and it starts auto playing. So I really am not a fan of that. Fox News. Look, Fox News. I
hate looking at stuff on Fox News website.
I have a bone to pick with you. Do not enable autoplay. Please don't. If I want to watch a video, I'll click play on the video. I promise you. I don't have the patience to read a transcripted article. I will hit play on the video. Please disable autoplay. Thank you.
That's PSA brought to you by Tech Helicopter.
So this chart talks about number one cause of death for Americans age 18 to 14. That's posted on Fox News. Fentanyl is number one. Fentanyl is number one. Guess what number two was, Chris?
Suicide.
Did you see that on the graph, or were you just?
No, I guessed.
Yeah, suicide was number two.
No way, really? Did I? Oh, wow. Yeah. And what they've won. More body bags, my man.
COVID was number 3.
Wow. So fentanyl, then suicide, then COVID.
So my question to you is, why aren't we talking more about fentanyl then and drug overdose? Because this all goes back to building the family.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because fentanyl isn't contagious. Or is it?
You can't take a vaccine to prevent fentanyl death?
Yeah, but you could do a TikTok challenge. Oops. I thought
was there a TikTok challenge for that?
Oh, probably. Yeah. Oh. I mean, I think that's.
I didn't know if there was something you knew.
A lot of the deaths of young people come from the stupidity of just following along TikTok challenges, which says more about the fact that parents are raising stupid kids than anything else. I don't think everybody argues, oh, it's TikTok or it's this or that. It's like, no, your kid's an idiot that would eat a Tide Pod. Like, stop it.
So I think I want to take that a step further. I think parents are raising disengaged kids. And I think the parents are disengaged from their kids.
Amen. I agree with 100%.
Because you see, I mean, and there, there's different ways to parent. No one is perfect, but there's some things when you raise young. It's just like anything in the animal kingdom, right? If you see a lion cub and it's hurt, and you start walking towards it, and then mama lion is over there 100 yards away, she about to get pissed. She sees you getting close to that cub. She doesn't know what's going on. She just sees you as a potential threat. She's always aware of her surroundings when it comes to her kids, right? So she'll come and attack you. But it's almost as if we don't have those same instincts as humans. Right? We're not always aware of those different things that can harm our kids. And some parents, in my opinion, are overly aware, and some are not aware enough. And then there's everyone else.
We call those attack helicopter parents.
Just always helicoptering around.
Dude, I'm on fire tonight. I am on fire.
You're just going at it, man. You're just going on.
Well, not at you.
No, I know. I don't take offense to that. Are you kidding me? I am a very hard person to offend. I don't know if you've realized that yet.
Yeah, he's a little hold on.
Oh, damn it. Now I got to write you up, Chad. What the hell? I'm not supposed to do that.
I'm going to be speaking to both of you after this show.
Oh, jeez.
I want to see both of you in my office.
What's
Do I have to sign a paper too? Oh, jeez.
Breakfast Club, the principal there. I want to see you after.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it's just, why aren't we talking about different stuff like this, about deaths that actually occur? And it's funny too, because the study just goes to show again that deaths from COVID are very minuscule in young adults.
Well, and I mean, if the vaccine's so good, why are we having the breakthroughs? Like, people who are vaccinated, I literally know of a couple people. And what's interesting is, when the White House came out this week and said, oh, if you're unvaxxed, you're going to die. Well, actually, I know more people who have died who have been vaccinated than have died that were unvaccinated. Personally, my personal own data set. So
it's very,
there's that.
Anecdotal of you.
But what am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah, so what's funny about it too is that they call it a breakthrough case, when a breakthrough case is usually when you're not supposed to get infected by something, and then there's a breakthrough, right? It breaks through and you get infected. But there's nothing about this vaccination that says you're not supposed to get it. There's literally no scientific claims out there, unless you're Joe Biden or Don Lemon or whoever else, that says you're not supposed to get the virus if you get vaccinated. There's nothing out there that says that. There's no science out there that says that. So I find it very ironic, the terms they use to describe this. Everything they do with COVID, it has to sound larger than life to produce this amount of fear, because there's no breakthrough about people getting infected with COVID when you have a vaccine. There's nothing says you're not going to get infected. You're not immune to the virus. So what's a breakthrough about it? I don't get it.
I saw, a couple of the senators, I believe, didn't Senator Warren and Booker get both tested positive for COVID just this week, and both of them are obviously vaccinated.
Good old Pocahontas.
Yeah. So I wonder if they're going to change their tune. I honestly will wonder if they experience this and go, you know what, we are just going to have to, it is just what we're living with. I honestly believe that a lot of people are going to get this. A lot of people are vaccinated. And I think you're hitting the peak right now. And then I think we're done. I think by February, this will all be over, because everybody will have got it and have natural immunity, or they'll be vaccinated.
Right. So common knowledge across any virus or disease that's contagious and transmuted like COVID is they say you have to develop a certain level of herd immunity is what they call it, right? And it's either by natural immunity or by vaccination. And once that point hits, it's going to be what it's going to be. But there's thousands and hundreds of thousands of people that get a cold and get the flu every year. But there's medications for that. There's treatments for that. So we don't worry about those things. But the same is true for COVID now, because people still die from the flu like they die from COVID. But people still also get medical treatment for the flu like they do for COVID. It just, I feel like, I mean, obviously by the notes we have, but in the past week, there's been so much surrounding COVID about how dangerous it is leading up to the Christmas season and holidays and celebrating with your family. Yet, like you always say, Chris, yet there's still 70, 80,000 people who go watch a college football game. No one talks about that anymore.
They don't want to.
Because everywhere that there's
they don't want to.
A large source of money, it's not talked about.
That, I mean, everybody who's like super woke and fired up about it, you know, in Ann Arbor, Michigan. But when they beat Ohio State, hey, let's rush the field. 100,000 people, no masks, anywhere to be found. And hey, good for you for beating Ohio. I'd be fired up too. You should go celebrate. That's kind of the point. Yeah, kind of the point.
Because it was about time that Michigan beat Ohio State.
I mean, it's once every 14 years. You know, you should probably go celebrate.
It's about the same rate they beat Michigan State right now.
Anyway, go blue.
Yeah, so let's get into it. We got some good stuff. Kind of wrapping up the show, changing topics as we segment out. But here we are to my favorite part of the show. Good old Chris's Corner.
Do we have a sponsor for this yet?
We don't.
No.
Do you have somebody in mind?
We need to reach out and see if anybody would sponsor this. I think some people would sponsor if I give them a shout out.
I did some research. We might be able, if you guys really want to go this route, I have to do some research on it. But I've heard that Raid Shadow Legends will literally sponsor anybody. I'm not.
Here we go again.
I'm not even kidding you.
I did not know that you were going that route with this, but that is fantastic.
So
that's the best news I've heard all week. I
can do some research on it, but from what I've heard from friends of mine who are larger content creators and stuff like that, someone who pulls like 15 viewers on a live stream is able to get sponsored. And basically the way that it works is every single, like, they'll pay you per person who hits a certain level in the game. That's how the sponsorship works, from what I've heard. I could be totally wrong. They may have changed their policies on it a little bit, but from what I heard from about this one particular streamer, they offered her like $500 to have him be sponsored, as long as, like, I think 5 people signed up and played to a certain level. It was great. I was like, that's so stupid.
All right, what is awesome. This called? Raid Shadow
Legends.
Okay, you gotta look
up. Your boy
up.
Arnold plays Raid Shadow Legends. Chris.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold.
Yeah.
No, not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I think he does.
He does.
I think he's done a sponsored bit with them. Yeah.
It's a guy whose username on he does some Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes videos. His name is Arnold. Ahnald.
Arnold. Oh boy.
Arnold. So, are you ready for Chris's Corner? Or are you searching up some Raid Shadow Legends over there?
Brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends.
And now it begins. All right, so some of the stuff we've already talked about, but I can't wait.
I'm taking the glasses off.
Oh my gosh, that's
how serious I am. Let's go.
It's getting hot in here. It's getting hot.
Okay. Here we go.
All right, Chris, as your friendly Democrat over here. Well, this first one's kind of a little off that normal thing, but what do you think? Should people be able to get prosecuted for virtual sexual assault?
No. Next question. I mean, that's the Ben Shapiro answer. It's like, no, facts don't care about your feelings. And the facts are you were not sexually assaulted if it was virtual. There was no assault. It may have been sexual. You may have been uncomfortable, but anybody in that environment has the sole ability to unplug. So you can end it at any time.
All right, Chris. So listen, people like Elon Musk need to pay more in taxes. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. They need to be responsible for their fair share.
You know what? It's like I said earlier in the show. I want to say thank you to Elon for contributing the single most amount of money that any one American pays. And so when you say like he needs to pay more, how is that fair? Isn't fairness by definition everybody pays the same, right? Or at least the same rate? I think Elon does a lot. And I think one of the greatest points that Elon has ever made was the fact that why are we taking capital away from people who know how to do capital allocation and giving it to an entity, i.e., the government, who knows nothing about capital allocation and actually makes it worse? I guess the question I would ask back to you, Mr. Democrat friend, do you really feel that Elon would be better, or would more people be better off if Elon kept the 11 billion or whatever he's paying and he got to choose what to do with it? Or do you think we should hand it over to the government? Who's better off in that scenario? I'm going to go with Elon, who's created millions of jobs and helped millions of families all across the world. Go ahead. Bet.
But Chris, the government obviously has the people's best interests in mind, right? That they want us to live and prosper. They're just out here looking for us. So what's so wrong about wanting to give more money into the hands of the government to help out others in the country?
I mean, they're inefficient. Name me one thing that the government does that's efficient other than spending other people's money, which I said last week. The reality is, dude, the reality is the government does not do efficiency real well. I mean, just think about going to the DMV, trying to get your driver's license renewed. I mean, it's insane. And you want to multiply that? You think that they're going to do good with $11 billion? Like, I just don't. I think the guy who created Tesla and SpaceX and other top entrepreneurs who have created opportunities know a lot more about how those funds should be allocated, and it would make better use of those funds.
You know what, Chris, but here's the thing. We need to stop using fossil fuels. We should have all electric vehicles and other things like that, because all these fossil fuels and coal and stuff like that, it harms the environment.
Yeah. You know what else harms the environment? A bunch of broke people everywhere starving in the streets. Because you're trying to change, an entire socioeconomic culture of our country, which you may be right that maybe we can find a balance where we start integrating into better technologies, but we need to keep working on it. We need the R&D. It's not there. The free market actually takes care of this. If I could prove it, if it was cheaper for you to actually have an electric car, right? It literally was cheaper. And I mean like total cost. Wouldn't you do that? Wouldn't more people choose the cheaper option? So if it cost you $50,000 total cost to have an electric car for 5 years versus, buying a car with an engine and filling it up with gasoline, maybe that costs you $60,000 over 5 years. Which one are you going to do? Which one are the majority of people going to do? But see, the problem is the electric costs more. It's not as efficient. Oh my God, there's that word again. Maybe it doesn't have the range yet. We don't have the infrastructure for it. Maybe there's an argument to be had for that. But you know what? It's not there yet. We need more R&D and let the capitalistic environment take it where it needs to go.
All right, so I got a good last one for you. You've been crushing it so far.
Thanks,
Chris. In the U.S. here, we're a melting pot, right? So people should celebrate all religions in this country. Why do we seclude this season to just Merry Christmas? It should be Happy Holidays. Because I'm offended when you say Merry Christmas. What happens if I don't celebrate Christmas?
Good for you. Maybe you should. I suggest you go down to your local church on Sunday and pay attention. But if that case doesn't work out, no big deal. Maybe you're Jewish. I've got friends who are Jewish. In fact, I got a friend, Justin Deersley, who's a good friend of mine. He's a Jew. And you know what? I called him up and I wished him Happy Hanukkah. Oh my God. Yeah, that happened. Because he celebrates Hanukkah. And you know what? He actually just called me the other day and he wished me a Merry Christmas. Oh my God, two adults who can respect one another and not get too fired up about the fact that I'm not trying to convert him to my religion. He's not trying to convert me. We're just good people trying to get along in the world. And maybe that's what we need more of. Maybe if you actually learned about the different religions, you would learn that they're all underscored with love your neighbor. Love your neighbor. Love other people. Give grace. It's not being so offended. If somebody's offended, like, what are you God? You got sin? Is that a sin? You're offended? You got to be separated? Get out of here. Take your crap, go home, go sit in the corner, get your safe space, and leave the rest of us alone. And good luck when you meet God. Someday. I hope you get, just absolutely, I don't know. I was gonna say something real bad right there, but but for real, at the end of the day, if you're offended that someone said Merry Christmas to you, you should probably go look in the mirror and figure out what's wrong with you. Go seek professional. That's where we can shift into the conversation about mental health. You have a mental health problem if you're offended that someone said Merry Christmas to you, and you need to go figure out what the root cause of that is and why it's so upsetting to you. And why you feel like you have to just lash out at everybody. It's not right. It's not healthy. Go get the help you need.
That's some good stuff. There's two things that I think pop out at my mind that's so true. As you said, the Merry Christmas thing. Isn't everyone in the US though darn excited when they get Christmas Day off?
Yeah.
Right. Just celebrate it and shut up. Or don't celebrate it. Enjoy the day off and shut up. It literally has, if you don't celebrate Christmas and someone says Merry Christmas to you and you walk away, are you still okay after that verbal assault someone just put on you?
Yeah, that virtual assault.
Yeah.
How dare you? I'm so offended. I'm suing you.
Dude, the point you made about the cars being cheaper overall, that is probably the best thing that's been said all night, because it's such a clue into how economics and society work. It's not that electric cars are or are not better. It's that we're not ready for things like that. It's just like when the first flat screen TV came out, right? It was it like $10,000, whatever it was. This stuff happens all the time in the electronics business and different things such as this, or in the technology sector. Is things come out, they can't be mass produced in such a way to drive down the cost. So they cost way more than they should. I know Samsung had this TV that it's put on like an easel, or isn't that what it's called for a painter, like an easel type thing? But it's put on something like that. And the TV cost over easel. And the TV cost over $100,000 because no one's buying this thing, right? There's not a market. The technology isn't there for this to be a mass-produced product that everyone wants to buy. So once those things happen, it drives down the cost. And then once the technology and the R&D is there, they're at a point now where it is easily affordable. But until it's an easily affordable item, it's not economically smart to just shut down half of the energy sector because you want to.
Yeah, and it has to have efficiency or an ROI. That if things cost
two things
money,
the government cares zero about.
Yeah, right. Of course. So anyway, man, it's good. I love it. We got a couple last things here, right?
Yeah. So It's
Gotta
something I
wrap
came
this up,
across
man.
the other day that is crazy. This is an article from Fox Business. Did you see this? A Costco worker viral TikTok sparks debate about pay.
Okay. I think I saw this, but I'm not 100%.
She made a TikTok and said something like, when you make $29.50 just to draw smiley faces on receipts. So
Okay. So she's saying she gets paid well
she gets paid $29.50 an hour
for
just to
working
work
at
at
Costco.
Costco, drawing smiley faces on receipts.
So what's the
she was getting hammered, saying, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you would share stuff like that." She's since been like humiliated and stuff, and people are saying that she's full of crap and saying that nurses should make more, and it's bogus how nurses don't make more and things like that because they're saving lives and she isn't. And somebody's like, well, don't blame Costco, blame the system.
Well, I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, there's so much going on there. Like, we can argue all day. Should she get paid $29.50 for that? But I don't work for Costco. You don't work for Costco, and she doesn't work for us. So, like, it sounds like bad management. And if you do too much of that, eventually, it doesn't work out.
But I still love going to Costco and buying some jeans for like $15 that fit me really well.
Right.
I love it.
And I mean, as long as they keep charging $15, you're going to keep going there, right?
Yeah.
So
they're doing something right. Right.
What do you care what they pay their employees?
That's what matter. Do you think that there's like a big what's the word I'm looking for? But like people are hyper focused on the amount they get paid versus the value they bring to the job or the value of what they do.
Yeah, see, that balances out, though. I mean, it really does, because the argument is like, okay, in this case, you referenced nurses or, even anybody, dietitians or whatever that get paid that. Well, eventually, when raise time comes around, if enough of them are like, yeah, I'm not willing to work for $30 an hour because I can go work at Costco for $29.50. Well, then the hospital has a choice. Are you going to pay more for better talented people? Because eventually the only people you're going to get for $30 an hour are people who can draw smiley faces. What are you going to draw that on the chart there? Here, doc, here's their chart. It's got a smiley face on it.
Hey, guess what? You got a smiley face in your chart. You know what that means? You have cancer.
Yeah. Good luck. Jeez. Yeah, no. Good luck with the chemo.
Smiley face.
That's so there are temporary moments in any capitalistic environment where there are these levers that are pushed and pulled. And that's why the biggest problem I have with them is they're temporary. Because the market always fixes it. Always. So yeah, that might be a true statement today. She makes $29.50 and it's worth that value. But it won't be that way for long. You got a few months, maybe a year, and then it rectifies itself.
All right, so I got a question, or I guess a statement that I was thinking about earlier. I've worked in automotive repair for a while now, and it's literally something that, I mean, you see everywhere. And I think a lot about the mindset of people when you're looking at different things. And, going back to building the family and raising young people appropriately, one of the things I was thinking is you oftentimes in different demographics, especially in lower income areas, different things like that, you may find people who, they want to drive a flashy car because they want to, they want to have something that holds value to them, right? And you see this, and I don't mean just low income areas, but people who are fiscally or financially broke. you find this, where they want to do certain things, just like they want to find a vehicle to drive because they like it, a BMW, a Mercedes, a whatever, and then they make it fit their budget versus finding a vehicle that fits their budget. And that just plays into the mindset of a lot of stuff. Go ahead.
You've what you've described or defined for our audience is the example of financial illiteracy, because most people who are financially illiterate do things like that, where they buy or they spend their money. So they go make money, whatever amount that is, big or small. Let's use our Costco girl. She's making $29.50 an hour. That's solid. That's maybe, if I extrapolate it out, if she was working 40 hours a week, she's probably making about 60 grand a year.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, that's good, but it's not amazing. You're not six figures. You're not, you gotta still pay taxes out of that. So at the end of the day, she's probably not driving a Ferrari, right? Or a Land Rover, or she might be, and she doesn't understand how her money works, because then you're putting money into a depreciating asset, because the car loses value the minute you drive it off the lot, even in this crazy environment.
And then it gets a ding on it.
Yeah. Or something breaks and you got to put money into it. And it's not a wise use of money if you're trying to create an ROI and actually get ahead and create assets that generate money. So that's the biggest problem is Americans, from an economic standpoint, Americans like to have new things all the time. That's why they created lease programs where you get a brand new car every 3 years. Hey, give us this car back and we'll give you, a new one. And if you look at a lease program, it's very specific. The only people who should be leasing are people who are not going to drive that much. They don't need a car. They're like basically getting a really cheap lease. They're going to keep it under the miles. It's low miles. They don't need to keep it in the car. Otherwise, you should buy your car, and you should buy a car that, is going to, have good quality and get you from point A to point B safely. That's it.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what you were saying. That really leads into, I just hate when people make the statement of, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and we never look at these things to address core causes of why people who come from poor or less well-off families stay in those same social classes when they grow up. But exactly like you said, it all comes to financial illiteracy or literacy.
Right.
People who are well off know how to use their money, and they typically teach those things to their kids, and their kids typically go off and do better for themselves outside of what their parents did.
If they have the foundation right, and you get out of the microwave mentality where I got to have everything right this second, and you start building things. You build a wall one brick at a time, my man.
So I just want to reiterate that statement because I think it's powerful if you really sit down and think about it when it comes to anything, right? But like, find a vehicle that fits your budget. Don't find a vehicle and make it fit your budget.
Right.
Because you can make any car fit your budget.
Yeah.
But find one that fits your budget. And that's under that. Because I know people who go out and look at a used car and spend like 15 grand. I'm like, why would you go out and buy a 2017 Lexus for $15,000 when you couldn't even afford to fix the car you had? Like, when I was broke, I found out I had a budget. I'm like, I'm going to spend $8,000. What can I get for $8,000? I found a Chevy Cruze with 50K on it. Okay, perfect. I didn't care that it was a piece of crap car. It's a Chevy Cruze. I didn't care.
Right.
But it fit my budget. And I knew it was going to last me 5-6 years, which it did. It lasted me another 80,000 miles.
And I'm assuming that you used it and got an ROI on it because you used that vehicle to take you to a job or to a place that allowed you to make more money.
That's a very good point too, right? Look at it. What does that car do for you? Because does it matter if it just has to get you to point A or point B and you're broke? Does it matter if it costs $8,000 or $15,000? It doesn't matter, because guess what? Nobody cares.
Right.
But you're going to care when you're broke. Food.
Well, because then you're going to vote Democrat.
Right, so that the government can help you pay for your car. Anywho, if you could all right, last thing.
This is it. Merry Christmas.
If you could rid the world of one thing, what would it be?
Elf on the Shelf. Screw you, Angel Cakes.
Elf on the Shelf. I mean, I was going to say Democrats, but I didn't want to go that far into it.
I mean, that's like their symbol in everybody's home. Can't touch them. Oh, man. I love it.
If you could rid the world of one, for real, if you could rid the world of one thing, what would it be? Besides Elf on the Shelf.
I mean, I thought that was a good answer.
I actually have something that's maybe a little bit more
question, right?
I have something that's a little bit more like, I guess, profound. I guess I'm this is what I'm known for, I suppose. I would, if I could get rid of one thing in the world, I would wipe out, and I don't care about corporations or companies, I care about individuals. I would wipe out any and all debt to the individuals in the world.
Oh, so you would do it like a one-time thing right now?
Yep. If I had the choice. And the only reason why...
What about new recurring debt? Like, does everyone start at zero and we start all over again?
So let's say, like, basically, for example, let's say you have a house, you have a mortgage on it. Again, you wouldn't have any forewarning that this was coming. It would just happen. If you have a car loan or you have credit card debt, whatever. Again, do not care about companies, or if it's like, for example, if we're talking property, if it's an income property, no, it doesn't count for that. It doesn't count for a company. It counts for just a person. And if you're talking about a house, it's their primary residence only. Medical debt for a person or credit card debt for a person. I would wipe those out. And here's as far as in the future, would I do it again? No, I would never do it again, because the people that end up in a deep sinkhole of debt again, it's their own problem, not mine. But I want to give everybody the opportunity to have a fresh start, a blank slate, and give people the opportunity to feel like they have a leg up and give them some kind of hope with that. That's what I would do. And again, I understand.
You're so sweet.
See, here's the thing. This is the cynical side of me here. Being the country that we are lavish consumers. Majority of people will go back into debt and be right back where they were within a year or two. I'm well aware of that. And if they want to complain at that point, be like, you had the same opportunity as everybody else, so sit down, quit your bitching, it's your own damn fault.
I like it.
It gives everybody a chance. It gives everybody the chance to realize that their problems are their own problems. Now, again, I do understand that there are circumstances that come up, and don't get me wrong, I have a passionate loathing for a number of systems in this world and this country. I am well aware that a lot of these systems are not fair by any stretch of the imagination. Yes, I understand life's not fair, whatever, but there are a lot of systems that are just not balanced well. But give everybody the opportunity to start at the same place. And then see what happens.
I think we're going to change you from attack helicopter to financial Jesus.
Financial Jesus.
Cast your debts upon me and all will be forgiven.
God, what do I sound like, a televangelist now? Jeez. God almighty. Yeah, all you have to do, by the way, I'm just so you guys know, for those of you watching, if you want your debt to be forgiven, all you got to do is send a donation into the podcast, give your best faith offering, and your debt will be relieved.
Amen.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise Jesus.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it in my soul. I can feel it.
The Holy Spirit's moving.
Make that check out to
Yep.
Chris Dayton.
That's DEIGHTON.
Yeah.
Peace be with you, guys. Peace be with you. Commander Whalls, Commander Attack Helicopter,
Commander Financial Jesus.
Yeah, Financial Jesus.
FJ. Start calling you FJ.
Oh, man, that's how nicknames are born, brother. But, hey, seriously, Merry Christmas to both of you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Chris. Merry
Happy
Christmas,
Hanukkah.
Chad. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, or whatever you Wanza call it.
I'm so offended.
Jeez, that guy.
I will see you in my office after this.
Yeah.